Hello friends, welcome to my videos. So in this video we are going to talk about subclass 891 investor visa for Australia. Before I proceed further, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe because I regularly upload videos on your demand, and if you have any concern, any question, anything that you want to ask, you are always welcome to ask. And if you have not already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. Alright, so let's start for this discussion. This is an investor visa and this is something that allows you to stay permanently. The cost is here 2275 Australian dollars. The processing time they haven't specified because they get very low volume of applications. With this visa you can stay in Australia permanently, continue your business and investment activity in Australia, apply for Australian citizenship if you are eligible. So this is just like any other permanent visa. Now, what conditions you have to meet? You must be a holder of a subclass 162 investor provisional visa, have held a designated investment of Australian dollars 1.5 million for 4 years and have lived in Australia for 2 of the past 4 years. Okay, now let's explore more about this visa. This visa is a PR, so it allows you to stay permanently, work and study in Australia, enroll in healthcare system, sponsor your relatives to come to Australia, travel to and from Australia for 5 years. If eligible, become an Australian citizen. This is a permanent visa, as I told you. It lets you stay in Australia indefinitely. This visa has a travel component that expires 5 years after the date of visa grant. You become a permanent resident on the day we grant the visa. Okay. For citizenship purposes, your permanent residency starts on the day we grant this visa if you are in Australia, or you enter Australia on this visa if you are outside Australia. I mean, the day you are in Australia based on your new status. That's how it counts. You can include members of the family unit in your application. You can include them when you lodge a visa application, or you can add them before a decision is declared. Of course, they have to meet other health and character requirements. Okay, cost. The cost is given here 2275 for the main applicant, and there's also a charge for each applicant who applies as a family member. Second, installment charge. You might have to pay an extra charge for any applicant 18 years old or older who has less than functional English and who does not hold an eligible visa when they apply. This charge is called the second installment. This charge is only payable if we are going to grant you the visa and we send you an invoice. The second installment charge for the family member is Australian dollars 4890. You might also have to pay other costs like health checks, police certificates, and biometrics. Of course, these are required. We have already covered that. Apply from. You must be in Australia when you lodge your application. Your family can be in or outside Australia, but not in immigration clearance. You must hold an eligible visa to make a valid application for this visa. So we already discussed about what visa is required in order to make an application under this. Processing times. Processing times have not been declared on the site. They have already said the reason because of the low number of applications they receive under this category. Obligations, traveling, and visa label. We know Australian visas are visa label free, so no problem about that. Eligibility. So the very first thing is that we discuss on the first page itself. You should have subclass 162 investor provisional visa that was granted to you on the basis that you satisfied the primary criteria of that visa, meet the residence requirement. This also we discussed. You must have lived in Australia as the holder of a subclass 162 investor provisional visa for a total of at least 2 years in the 4 years immediately before you submitted the application. The 2-year period does not have to be continuous. Okay, there's no age limit. Now, other requirements, especially business requirements, are very important. You and your partner together must have held continuously for at least 4 years in your name or your name and your partner's name your designated investment of $1.5 million you made for the purpose of satisfying a requirement for the grant of subclass 162 investor provisional visa. Have a genuine and realistic commitment to continue a business or investment activity in Australia, have never been involved in unacceptable business activities. Okay, that means you should have clear business history and you should have clear intention to proceed further also, and you must have satisfied other requirements under subclass 162, including investment and duration. Health character Australian value statement, we are aware of this, we have gone through this in other videos as well. Have paid back your debt to Australian government, not have had a visa cancelled or a previous application refused. We have covered this also. Now let's go to step by step. Before you apply, notify the business development agency. Notify the business development agency in the state or territory in which you intend to continue your investment activity. To do this, complete this form and send it to the appropriate agency. You can send it to more than one agency. The agency will sign, stamp and send it back to you. Include this completed form with your visa application. Okay, gather your documents, identity documents, photos, evidence of residence. You need to have lived in Australia holding 162 for at least 2 years in 4 years. In the 4 years immediately before applying, the 2-year period in Australia does not need to be continuous. So how are you going to prove? Utility bills, lease or rental agreement, title deeds, school reports. But these are not limited to, these are some of the documents they accept as evidence, but this is not limited to only these documents. Designated investment, you must provide evidence you have held your designated investment of at least $1.5 million made for the purpose of being granted a subclass 162 investor provisional visa continuously for at least 4 years in your name, uh, your name and your partner's name. This should include evidence from the state, territory, corporation confirming the date that the original designated investment and the name in which the investment was made. If the investment has already matured, provide written or emailed confirmation from the Treasury Corporation and bank statements confirming repayment of the amount. Commitment to your business and investment activity. Please give us a one-page summary of your business or investment activities in Australia, a one-page summary of your business or investment intentions in the long term. We already discussed about this. A report of the Australian business or investment operating environment, if you have one. These are the general documents. Proof of functional English. This information applies to dependent family members who are 18 years or older and who do not hold a subclass 162 investor visa at the time of application for this visa. If your passport is from these countries, you don't need any proof. If not, you need to provide proof for functional English. If you can't show us your dependent has functional English, you will need to pay the second installment of the visa application charge when we ask you to. I mean, you don't have to pay this upfront. You got to pay only when they ask you. So we discussed one requirement of functional English that you can see uh, how you can prove if you are a citizen and hold a valid passport issued by the UK, USA, Canada, New Zealand or the Republic of Ireland, that's fine. If not, your English has been assessed as functional by an Australian adult migrant English program service provider, then it also it's fine. If not, you completed a degree, a higher degree, a diploma or a trade certificate in an institution in or outside Australia that required at least 2 years of full time study and all instructions were in English. You undertook your education at a primary school and secondary school where all instructions were in English in or outside Australia. So they have other things also, like if your studies were in English. If none of these criteria you satisfy, then in the 12 months before you applied for the visa, you scored one of the following. Let's say IELTS, an average of 4.5 in each of the four components. So this is not something difficult to prove. So in most of the cases, this is the case. I mean, people do have functional knowledge of English and they easily go through this requirement. You must be in Australia when we receive your application, that we already discussed, and this needs to be applied on paper. The reason is here because you gotta provide them some documents about that you receive from business development agency when you fill up a form and send, and then the agency sign stamp and send the same thing back to you. So because of that reason it has to go offline, I mean on paper. And once you apply, you gotta wait until the result comes out, and once the result is out, that's it, you have this visa. And when you have this visa, you can stay in Australia indefinitely, work and study, enroll in public healthcare, and all other things that are allowed as a permanent residence. And you got to make sure that you meet all the conditions of the visa. So that's it for now. I hope you liked it. Thank you.